You know what's funny? People can understand struggle. People can understand pain. People can understand heartbreak. People can understand setbacks. People can understand losing. But what they cannot understand is how somebody is going through all of those things and still smile. That's the part that confuses them. That's the part that makes them scratch their head. That's the part that keeps them up at night. Because if they were in your shoes, they know exactly how they'd be acting. Bitter, angry, defeated, complaining, blaming everybody, talking about what happened 10 years ago, talking about what hurt them, talking about who left them, talking about who betrayed them, talking about how life isn't fair, talking about how everything is everybody else's fault. But then they look at you. And somehow you're smiling. Somehow you still have joy. Somehow you still have hope. Somehow you still have peace. Somehow you still have love in your heart. And they don't get it. They genuinely do not understand, because most people think happiness comes from circumstances. You learned that happiness comes from perspective, and that's the difference. See, a lot of people are emotionally controlled by whatever happens around them. Something good happens, they're happy. But something bad happens, they're miserable. Something goes their way, they're smiling. Something doesn't go their way, they're falling apart. They're completely controlled by external conditions. Their emotions are tied to circumstances. Their peace is tied to circumstances. Their joy is tied to circumstances. Their confidence is tied to circumstances. So when circumstances change, they change. But somewhere along the way, life taught you a different lesson. Life taught you that circumstances are temporary. Life taught you that bad days end. Life taught you that difficult seasons pass. Life taught you that pain has an expiration date. Life taught you that nothing stays the same forever. And because you've learned that lesson, you don't panic the way other people panic. You don't collapse the way other people collapse. You don't lose yourself the way that other people lose themselves, because you know something they don't know. You know this moment isn't permanent. You know this situation isn't forever. You know this setback isn't the end. And that knowledge gives you peace. That knowledge gives you strength. That knowledge gives you perspective. And perspective is powerful. People don't realize how much perspective changes everything. Two people can experience the exact same situation and have completely different outcomes. One person sees a closed door. Another person sees redirection. One person sees failures. Another person sees feedback. One person sees rejection. Another person sees protection. One person sees pain. Another person sees preparation. Same event, different perspectives, different outcomes. And that's what people don't understand about you. They think your smile means life is easy. No, life isn't easy. You just learned how to carry yourself through difficult seasons. And that's the difference. See, some of you listening right now have survived things people don't know nothing about. You survived toxic family dynamics. You survived being the black sheep. You survived betrayal. You survived abandonment. You survived being misunderstood. You survived being overlooked. You survived being counted out. You survived being judged. You survived being rejected. You survived things that should have broken you, and yet you're still here. That's what confuses people, because they expected those experiences to harden you. Instead, they strengthened you. They expected those experiences to make you bitter. Instead, they made you wiser. They expected those experiences to make you hate people, but instead they taught you discernment. They expected those experiences to destroy your spirit, but instead they revealed your strength. And that confuses people, because many people have never developed resilience. Most people have developed comfort, not resilience. Comfort disappears the moment life gets uncomfortable. Yet resilience grows because life gets uncomfortable. Comfort quits. Resilience adapts. Comfort folds. Resilience learns. Comfort complains. Resilience creates. That's why resilient people are rare. That's why resilient people are powerful. And that's why resilient people are difficult to understand, especially if you've always had to get it out the mud, especially if you've always had to figure things out, especially if you've spent your life rebuilding. You see, people who have to rebuild themselves multiple times develop a different kind of confidence. It's not a confidence that's based on looks, not a confidence that's based on money, not a confidence that's based on status, but a confidence that's based on survival. Confidence based on knowing I've been through worse. Confidence based on knowing I'll figure it out. Confidence based on knowing I've overcome before. Confidence based on knowing I'll overcome again. And when you possess that type of confidence, you become difficult to shake. That's why people don't understand your smile, because your smile isn't coming from comfort. Your smile is coming from confidence. Your smile is coming from experience. Your smile is coming from perspective. Your smile is coming from faith in yourself. You know you survived before. You know you'll survive again. And honestly, a lot of people never learn that lesson. A flat tire ruins their day. A disagreement ruins their week. A breakup ruins their year. A setback ruins their motivation because they never learned how to separate temporary situations from permanent identity. But you did. You understand that a bad day doesn't mean a bad life. A bad chapter doesn't mean a bad story. A setback doesn't mean defeat. A struggle doesn't mean failure. And because you understand that, you continue smiling. Not because you're ignoring reality, not because you're pretending, not because you're delusional, because you're looking beyond the moment. You're seeing what other people can't see yet. And that's powerful. If you're listening right now and you're in a difficult season, hear me carefully. The closer people get to freedom, the more pressure they often feel. The closer people get to breakthrough, the more resistance they often experience. The closer people get to growth, the more uncomfortable things often become, because transformation is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. Healing is uncomfortable. Evolution is uncomfortable, but uncomfortable does not mean wrong. Sometimes uncomfortable means you're becoming. Sometimes uncomfortable means you're expanding. Sometimes uncomfortable means you're leaving behind an old version of yourself. And that's exactly what needs to happen, because every new level requires the death of the old identity. You cannot become somebody new while remaining exactly the same. Something has to change. Something has to grow. Something has to evolve. That's why what you're going through matters, not because it's happening to you, but because it's shaping you. And one day, the very thing that tried to break you will become the story that inspires somebody else. One day, the pain will make sense. One day, the lesson will become clear. One day, the struggle will reveal its purpose. And when that day comes, you'll look back and realize something. You were never losing. You were becoming. And that's why you're still smiling. Because deep down, you already know this isn't the end. It's just another chapter. And you've survived every chapter before this one. You'll survive this one too. Keep smiling, keep believing, keep moving, keep loving, keep growing, because the people who confuse the world the most are the people who went through hell and somehow never lost their light.